What's up, Whoopers? Vice here, and I've been thinking a lot about the channel lately. So, you may have noticed since December, there's been a bit of a downturn in the amount of video I've been putting up, the amount of content that I've been putting out there. So, and I think where that came from or where that started was Brisbane Regionals and my desire to prepare thoroughly for that event. So, what happens prior to events is that I have this tendency to practice really hard for them. And when I am testing, when I'm practicing for events, it becomes very difficult to weave in other things that I want to do. So, what I mean by that, of course, is not neglecting the really important stuff that you do day to day, but when it comes to this, what I'm doing here, making YouTube videos, which at the end of the day is a hobby for me alongside Pokemon cards, some things get left a little bit to the wayside. And so you may have noticed that in the run up to Brisbane Regionals late last year, I was testing a lot of Lost Box alongside a few others. But the point was that I wasn't making a lot of content like I normally would. You're used to seeing the theme deck videos. You're used to seeing me come at you with new weird wacky decks every single week, almost anyway. And I haven't quite been able to keep that cadence as I've thought about practicing for these major events, which I do want to do well in as a competitor myself, and also just being focused or having to focus on those events, leading me to use up all of my spare time to test only exactly the decks that I think I'm going to be considering for the event. So that's sort of a long-winded way of me saying that because of the competitive events, you had Brisbane Regionals, and just a week or so ago, I had the International Championship. So 1 and 2 meant that I wanted to focus my time on preparing for those events. So what I wanted to do, or why I began with that, is I have been thinking about it. It has been in my mind that I need to sort of dust myself off, get back on the ponytail, if you like, and just try and get back into the swing of things. So what I wanted to do is create a video about my content creation goals for 2023 and just have a bit of a chat with you, a bit of a casual talk about the things that I think that I want to do with the channel, and maybe get you involved with the narrative for the Vice Games channel for 2023. So, look, I've got a few things that are, some of them are carryovers from last year, some of them are to get back to where I was, some of them are new things, and ideas that have been ruminating for a while now, and things that I want to try with the channel. So, look, first thing I want to start with is a bit of a documentary project that I've been working on for a few months. It feels like I've been working on it since the middle of last year, but of course, you pick it up, you put it down, you pick it up, you put it down. I'm not a full-time YouTube creator. I go to work 5 days a week. Okay, I've got a lot of other things eating up my spare time, let alone doing the normal things that I do for YouTube, let alone streaming and things like that. So I have been working on it on and off for quite a while. I want to get it done because it would be a shame if I didn't get that out there after all the time and effort that I've spent thinking about it, working on it, gathering resources, research, all that sort of thing. I haven't really talked about it or made any kind of announcement about it because I don't like hyping up something that I'm going to do. I would rather let the work that I do speak for itself. So typically I don't announce that I'm going to put out a big thing or I'm going to work on a big project or anything like that, because I think that is just drumming up numbers for no value that I've given you. And nothing that I do with this channel is a promise either, because it is, at the end of the day, a hobby for me that I do in my spare time, something I mentioned before. So, look, step one, complete the mini documentary that I've been working on for a while. Very few people know about it, so consider that my pre-announcement of that coming in. Maybe a promise to myself. Even though I just said there's no promises with this channel, it is a promise to myself to get that done, if only for my own satisfaction. And so, speaking of doing things for myself, the next point that I sort of had on my list of content creation goals for this year is to try and weave in a little bit more about myself in the videos that I put out there for you. I think that I don't really talk about myself with my videos. I have a lot to say about what I'm doing on the screen, or about whatever it is that the video is about or the stream is about, but I'm fairly guarded when it comes to my personal life, even with people that I work with whoever. I have this tendency not to talk too much about my private life. And it's not to say that I'm going to start telling you every single detail of my private life, but I'm going to let you in on the bigger things, the things that actually mean something. You know, I often talk about my partner, and I always call her my partner because, one, I don't really want to call her by name out on the internet for all of you strangers to know her name. But also, when I started streaming, we were not engaged. We're engaged now. So that's a bit of a storyline for you that I've not told anybody. And we'll be getting married sometime in the future. So what I mean to say by all of that is that because we weren't engaged before, I hadn't really described her as my fiance. I just called her my partner. We've been together for 9 years now, so it's not really. When you're together with somebody for that long, you stop calling them like your girlfriend. It's not really. When you're together for a really long time like that, you sort of stop describing your partner that way. You call them your partner because you've been together for that long. It's not a short-term thing. Anyway, all of that aside, I just wanted to say that I want to start talking a little bit more about the things that are happening in my life, the things that might be a bit more relatable than my thoughts about Pokemon cards, or give you a different way to look at this channel other than what is the cool deck that Vice Games has come up with this week. Instead, you can tune in and maybe I'll be able to tell you about the latest bill I had to pay, or this funny thing that happened to me on the weekend. You know, I just want to be a bit more than an avatar for a certain way of playing a Pokemon card game. I want to try and give you something to relate to, give you some measure of who I am as a person through the way that I experience the world around me and the way that I sort of go about my day to day. You know, interweave it a little bit. When you sit across from someone at your local card game store, you talk. And so I'm hoping that this will be our opportunity to talk about things other than what we're doing at the time. And speaking of which, one of my next points is I want to create videos about Pokemon cards which are away from the monitor. I'm staring at a monitor right now reading my notes on what to say next. I want to create videos where you can see physical cards in front of you. I want to create videos where I'm reviewing decks with real cards in my hand. I want to create videos about products that you might buy in the near future and whether I think that they're worth the money, whether they're valuable. What value might you expect to get out of them? One idea that I had recently is I want to talk about what I do when I'm playing the physical card game to make sure I never misplay or don't make any gameplay errors, is how I should describe that. My players are riddled with misplays. I can be the first to tell you that. But when I play the physical card game, something I try desperately to do is to remind myself and make sure that I don't misplay. And I think that could be an interesting more kinesthetic physical activity that I can show on screen and be something more than just whatever trading card game PC client we're looking at today. I want to share more thoughts about Pokemon cards, and this sort of relates to what I was saying before about going through different concepts and ideas about the card game in general. I want to talk to you about what I think about the value of the game money-wise. I want to talk to you about my opinions on the card game that I feel strongly about. I want to talk about the experiences it applies to the casual player just as much as it applies to the competitive player, as it might apply to the kid who's never played Pokemon cards before and they're turning up to their first in-store event, right? I want to talk about all those things. I want to get back to one video a week uploaded. For a couple of months there, you were lucky to get one video out of me. And I just sort of don't count the live streams. I want to start doing shorts content too. So, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this, when I'm preparing for big events, I have this tendency to come out of those habits that I've built up around creating videos, uploading content. I want videos, right? I don't want unscripted live streams to be the primary way of the majority of people to consume or remember me by. When I think of like live streamers who are really successful, I don't think about that time that they live streamed. I think about great videos that they've put out there. And so that's what I want to be known for. That's the value that I want to put out there. Something that can be picked up like a book and read anytime. Tomorrow, 5 years from now, I want to create videos that are like that. I want to try and collaborate with people. That's something I'm really bad at because, I get trapped. Well, it's not exactly trapped, but like I think about this being a hobby, and I think about not wanting to consume other people's time and not wanting to make promises that I can't necessarily keep, right? I want to create content at a cadence that suits me. And so that's why I've never taken opportunities to start podcasts or do regular content with people. But I think if I want this thing that you're watching to grow, I need to learn to do that. I want to be in a Discord call with somebody. I like the idea of interviewing people more than doing a podcast, okay, or something like that. I want to create a connection with other people and speak to them and hear what they've got to say. I want to commentate something. Even if it's just like asking viewers to record and submit videos for me to commentate over. It doesn't have to be a live event. I don't expect myself to be on a regional stream ever. Okay, it may not ever happen, and I may never develop the desire to want to be that person that makes it onto an official broadcast or anything like that. What I actually really want to do is commentate something like a viewer's matches and give my thoughts and insight and opinions. Or maybe doing something more local where I come to local events and lend a voice to what's going on, let's say, a live stream of a winner box or something like that. I don't have these illusions of grandeur of seeing myself up on a stage wearing a suit or anything like that. Maybe one day, who knows? But I think it starts small. I want to start by figuring out if I can do it or not, because I don't know. And that's why I'm listing it as a goal, because I don't know if I can do those things. I don't know if I can learn how to do those things. But it should be something that I should try, because there is an alignment there with what I'm doing already. I'm already talking through plays and thoughts and things that I'm doing on screens. So I think that's what I want to do. The last one is a bit of a funny one, but I really want to get to Arceus rank in Pokemon TCG Live. So having a ranked ladder is something that PTCGO desperately needed. And so it's really good. It's fantastic that Live has that, if nothing else. For all the issues that Pokemon TCG Live has, the two great things that it has is that you no longer have to trade for cards, and you have a ranked ladder which gives you in-game purpose for playing. Because when you think about Pokemon TCG Online, there was no purpose to the game. All you did was make decks and play against other people. There was no purpose to the game. All you wanted to do, all the game told you to do, was to collect cards. Okay, even the rewards track gave you cards. Like, once you got the cards, there was nothing to play for except to play to earn the in-game currencies that you need to play in the tournaments, to get the packs, to get more cards. So you could say that there's also no purpose to playing ranked in live, but I think that is a more tangible goal, ironically, to owning digital cards. I think that getting to Arceus rank is kind of like a proof of achievement, whereas I don't see much proof of anything just because you own full sets of the digital card game. So, okay, that is a lot of rambling. Tonight is date night for me, my partner and I. Something that we're starting to do more recently is set nights to be our date night, because my partner, she's a personal trainer. She works hours that are a bit different to me. We don't sort of start and stop work at the same time or anything like that. So we need to work together to make this time to be with each other. You would think that in a relationship that these things just happen organically, but I think that, and here is me starting to interweave the Vice games into my content, and talking a little bit more about my personal life and thinking about what goes on in here. So you would think that being together for almost 10 years, my partner and I would be able to just work this out organically, right? We just magically come together and spend our evenings at exactly the right amount of pace to feel like we're putting enough time into each other and things like that. But I think that the longer that you are together, the more you have to relearn a lot of these things. I think that relationships do go through these cycles where you have to relearn these things, and then you find a rhythm, and then you get comfortable with each other, and then you realize that you're not doing enough of something, and then you have to go through it all again. Okay, so I think that this is very quickly turning into a relationship advice video, but if you are out there and you have somebody who is your partner, my advice, or one piece of advice that I can give you, is to put thought into it. Don't just always go with the flow, because before you know it, you and your partner might feel like you haven't done anything for ages together, and you feel like that you should never get to that point, because organically you enjoy each other's company and you love doing things together. But it is so easy in this world to forget to make time to do that, especially when you've got a full-time job or you've got kids or what have you. So, all right, that's it from me. I don't know how much of this is going to make it into the final video. Maybe I just upload it fully unedited and let you experience my rambly rants and all of it, warts and all. I don't know. It is sort of 5 minutes before my partner gets home, and it's date night tonight. So I'll see you in the next live stream video. Take care and goodbye. See ya.